Glasgow is Scotland's largest city. During the 1990s, it succeeded in creating a vibrant new image for itself. But even now, outlying areas like Drumchapel still contain patches of poverty and deprivation. For some Glaswegians, self-employment provides a way of escaping from benefits or from the trap of low-income jobs.
We start up approximately 30 businesses a year, which in the scheme of Glasgow probably isn't a lot, but for Drumchapel that's a substantial amount. And I think local people are keen to move forward and to find ways of improving their own situation, and being self-employed is definitely an option for them.
A small-scale network of funding and support offers local women the opportunity to set up or expand their own businesses.
Some of the women have been turned away from banks. Some of them have tried to get a grant or a loan, but the criteria of those grants and loans are so restrictive that they've found that they don't fit in to any of the criteria.
Established by women for women, the Wellpark Enterprise Centre uses money from national and European funds to provide start-up grants and to support local businesses.
The project is funded to particularly target areas of priority treatment, where areas in Glasgow where we see social inclusion is an issue.
Typical target areas are characterised by high levels of unemployment, poor housing conditions and poor health. The women who seek financial help come from a wide range of backgrounds. Bryony Knox has a Master of Design degree from the Glasgow School of Art. She's decided to stay in the city and try to make a living as a self-employed artist. She applied for a start-up grant from Wellpark Enterprise.
I had to go through the procedures of interviews and also talking about my business plan and showing my work in front of a panel, and managed to get the start-up grant, which was mine was for £900, which enabled me to buy a lot of the equipment that I have here, because I already had a lot of the smaller stuff, but I needed things like a pillar drill and things to actually make things quicker to make, because that's the whole thing about my work. It's very time consuming, so the quickest way to make things makes it therefore cheaper to sell, and therefore hopefully more sellable.
Nancy Smith used to work in a social security office. Now she's opened a sandwich bar, partly funded by a start-up grant from Drumchapel Opportunities.
I had heard about the business centre in Drumchapel Opportunities, and apart from giving you a lot of moral support, advice, that's over a year's period. There's also a grant you can apply for, a £1,500 grant. So you have to sit in front of a panel, just explain what you're going to do, your business plan, and looking if I managed to get it.
Both women are established members of local microcredit groups.
I see microcredit as being a way of giving additional support. Once the businesses have started trading, we would support them for the first 6 months. But after that, they're out on their own.
I had got to a sticky point after, say, about 5 or 6 months in the shop, and I had asked one of the advisors where I could try and go for a loan, because the bank won't entertain you in the first year of business. And they had mentioned about microcredit. I had never heard about it before.
To take out a loan, they have to analyse the business need for it. They have to produce the paperwork to their group and convince their group that this is a sound business reason for a loan.
3 teas, please, and a glass of a can of Coke.
Nancy wants a loan to cover repairs and replacements.
You're always afraid that some of your appliances break down, because any appliances that you've got in the shop you really, really need just to open the doors, and that's always in the back of your mind that you might need an emergency loan.
She's also expanding her menu and planning a delivery service.
It's just nice to know that if you really get into really an emergency financial situation. It's nice to know that you can go somewhere.
Bryony belongs to a different microcredit group.
I applied for a loan for £200 because I needed to buy a showcase cabinet because I was going to do an exhibition at the Royal Concert Hall here.
But there was no guarantee she would get the money.
The whole idea about microcredit is that it's the people in your group, in your actual loan group, who decide whether you get it or not.
New members of a group are often apprehensive about borrowing money at all.
People are terrified is the sort of simplest way to describe it. They see debt as a bad thing. They see debt as being out of control and something that they cannot exert control over. They usually categorically tell me, I can be a member of a microcredit group, but I don't have to have a loan, do I? Because they're terrified of the concept of it. And I usually just smile and say, no, it's fine, it's fine. But know that by the time I get to the end of the training, those are the sort of things that I've addressed. And try to help them understand that to take a loan out is a positive and good action to do. Clear in our heads that we've been talking.
The terms for loan repayment are negotiated within each group.
What's the thoughts of anybody's got about when a loan can be taken out? The terms on which they can take out loan is so hugely flexible that they start to realise that they can make it work for them.
You've got to look at each case individually.
Absolutely.
And just make sure that the payments are a suitable size to be paid back without too much pressure.
So we would encourage them to take off the loan initially in the easiest way that they could possibly do it. You're keeping the interest rate at 2% above the base rate as well. The brilliant thing about it is that it's on a decreasing balance. So the interest rate, you could get 8% from other banks, but not on loans the size of £100. Banks wouldn't entertain that. And it's never on a decreasing balance, of course, as well, which means that the women are paying off more capital than they are interest over time.
Nancy is also trying to create a financial safety net by more traditional means.
Even at the moment, I had the bank manager in here yesterday, and I have asked him for a £200 overdraft. Now, £200 isn't a lot of money, but at the minute it would help me out, because I feel I'm trying to juggle everything literally on 10 pence. And if I had just a couple of £100 sitting in the bank, I wouldn't have to. I have to run down to the bank literally every 2 to 3 days just to keep up with standing orders and checks that I've written.
Bryony still needs to work as a waitress to supplement her income as a self-employed artist. The cafe's distinctive decor was her first big local commission.
The good thing about where I'm waitressing at the moment as well is that when I have had much bigger commissions on and I need much more time, sometimes we can jiggle about the times and I can get I've worked less that week and then more when I need to at other times.
Being self-employed is a precarious business, and microcredit provides an economic safety net. But the rewards aren't just financial.
In microcredit, they have to have an interest in being part of a group. I think that's the key thing. Some people don't work well in groups, don't see the positive aspects of support from a group. And if they're like that, then they're just not going to work with microcredit at all.
Microcredit groups offer mutual development and support. Each group is also supported by an advisor who helps to identify training needs.
The first thing they did was take me on a bookkeeping course, which was brilliant because up until that point I sort of knew where my money was vaguely going and I had masses of receipts, but it's nice to know where all your money is going, basically, instead of thinking, I can't believe everything seems to be just disappearing. Because I suddenly realised how much I'm actually spending on just tools and saw blades and little bits of metal that just sort of, it all builds up. So it was really good to see exactly where all that was going.
There's obviously the financial aspect of it as well, but I think much more important is the whole group dynamics and the support that the group give each other. I think being able to access additional funding is always a good thing, but it's the support from the group which is the most important aspect of it.
Helped by access to microcredit loans, self-employed women are able to make their own contribution to the local economy.
Being proud of running their own business and feeling that they're doing something rather than being unemployed and receiving benefits. Sometimes I think that's more important. Yeah, we've had lots of businesses who've been real successes and who, you know, their owners have got, or their people have gone on to bigger and better things, to employing local people, etc. But I think that one of the most important things is for that person, if that person has gone on to do something which they are proud of and happier doing, then that's the important aspect to me.
I'm not looking for too much. I'm looking for, just like everybody else, a decent wage every week, enough to do the things in life you want to do. And that's it basically. It's really I just feel there's an awful lot of people who are not getting enough money to live on, basically, let alone to do the nice things in life.
It's about empowerment and control. Whether the women use those words or not, I really don't know, but that's what they talk about. They know that they've got much more satisfaction because they're doing this for themselves.
There's nothing better than putting that cheque in the bank when you've just finished a commission that's taken you months and has driven you nuts or whatever, and pleased with the result. You get given a cheque and put it in the bank. There's nothing better than that because it's your work which someone has appreciated.